Yo, welcome to Stoke Sessions, Season 2, Episode 3. Today I'm joined by Mr. David Carrillo, Executive Creative Director here at Magnetic, and Mr. Paul Drohan, agency veteran in the creative services space and also a Navy veteran. So super excited to have these guys on today, talking through generative AI in the creative services industry, when to use it, how to use it, why to use it, when not to use it. We go through a really cool live exploration of some AI prompts. There's some rad tricks and tips in there for you. So enjoy the show, and we'll see you on the next episode. Cheers. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Stoke session. I'm joined today with Mr. DC from Magnetic Creative and Mr. Paul Drohan. Super excited to get into a cool chat about AI. We're actually going to go through some live examples of AI and usage today, which I'm really excited about. Before we jump in, give a quick intro of the guys here. Mr. David Carrillo, DC, as he's known around the office. I've been lucky enough to know him for 25 years, 30 years. 40 years.
We looked at the first grade together.
You guys were separated at birth, weren't you?
Yeah.
I know. Been super lucky to be able to work with him for a long time. Worked with him my entire career at Magnetic, which has been really cool. Design god, really, really talented behind the lens, behind the camera. And overall, super fun to work with. Mr. Paul Drohan is coming to us from a long history. He's kind of a veteran in a few different phases. He served time in the Navy. Paul, thank you for your service. And then he's also done a huge stint in the agency world. So he spent time at Juxt Interactive, Digitaria, Mirum, and Folklore most recently, Paul.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right on. Worked with clients all the way around the block. He's worked with like Polaris, Google, Netflix, Rolex. Who am I missing? Adidas. There's a bunch in there.
Yeah. Qualcomm, technical, kind of digital, but yeah, it's been big and small clients all over the place.
Heck yeah. And currently, Paul, you're in the mode of like pioneering what I would say some of the AI creative. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing with like AIGA and some of the speaking tracks that you're on right now.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I spent several years developing a few digital programs at San Diego City College, San Diego Portfolio Studio, and speaking at other institutions a few years ago. And so I'm kind of getting, reintroduced and kind of easing back into the educational sort of community to help share some of my experience with AI in the last year. So a lot of the schools have been extremely excited and interested in some of the actual application of AI in the process, in the execution of, creative. So I've been speaking, I just spoke at San Diego City College a few days ago, talking about real application and process of, what I've been working on. I'm speaking at the Santa Monica College here in about a month to share that same type of talk. And then I just met with AIGA San Diego, Madeline Levine, to plan a kind of group discussion in the later part of May to talk about this subject in creative.
Yeah.
So I've been kind of coining the phrase the new rim of creative because we know AI has been quite a hot topic and fascinating just influence in what we've been doing.
Paul, I think we've both been in the agency world so long. It's I know we've talked off camera before and we have our chats, but it's pretty exciting, and it's probably one of those phases where like I haven't been this excited about technology or tools in quite a while, and this one is obviously up there and just is creating a ton of commotion and a ton of like thoughts, a ton of just chatter around what's possible now. So. Really exciting. I know both of us have been in the agency a long time, and this is kind of that thing that's kind of reinvigorated both of us.
You couldn't have said it better based off of so many conversations we've had and I've had with other people. I usually kind of get this polar opposites most of the time of, oh my God, it's so fascinating, but oh my God, I'm so scared. It's so frightening. It's like, I always joke. I'm like, I think everybody's afraid that Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to appear and just like, just destroy everything, because of Skynet. But you're right. Our industry has seen so many like digital innovations and technical innovations throughout our career. I know I've been seeing a lot, in the last few decades. And it's not that different than the conversations that were happening when websites were really like springing up back in the late 90s and mid 90s. People were afraid, but they were curious at the same time.
Yeah.
Paul, I was reading through your bio prior to the call here, and you made a mention to like Flash, right? And that was one of the things that I was into in my early days. It's funny because I haven't known you very long, but I feel like we've been living in these like, parallel realities, right? I used to be super into ActionScript and making all the pixels move in the browser, but we've obviously seen like the rise of Instagram, the rise of Facebook, the rise of Twitter, all of the social media tools, the rise of the web. I still have friends that think the web is a fad and it's gonna die at some point, right?
Stock photography.
Yeah, stock photography. Think about how much of a shakeup that industry is going through with the rise of AI here. So super cool. Why don't we get into it a little bit? I just wanted to talk through kind of the speed at which AI has hit. Like for me, being more in the tech space and some of the digital marketing tools, AI has been present for a long time in places like your Gmail account, right? Like Gmail has been finishing your sentences for you for 3, 4, 5 years. People haven't really considered that the whole push of AI, but really in the last, year and a half or so, we've seen this huge rise from ChatGPT, from all the folks at OpenAI, Midjourney, Gemini. What are some of the tools that you guys are seeing right now, and what are the things that are moving the quickest in your experience?
Yeah, I'll take a first stab. I think the industry is moving really quick. It seemed just like yesterday we were making fun of 10 fingers on a hand and all the mishaps that happen with AI. And it's like, oh, this is cool, but it's not going to be applicable for a long time. Like I said, that seemed like yesterday. And all of a sudden it's like, whoa, this is here and it's legit. You have so much control over AI, more so than you did even a year ago. And it's just each day, it just seems like it's getting smarter and smarter and smarter and producing better results. So the pace at which AI is moving, like Paul said, it is a little scary, but it's also like so exciting. So that speed, I think what's happening is it's kind of this big, huge wave of AI, and it's overwhelming, and there's so many tools, and you kind of got to sift through and say what works for you. There's going to be a lot of tools that jump up and fall off and die, but there's going to be also those few that are here to stay, and we got to adopt them and continue to move forward them at the same pace as they're evolving.
Yeah, I agree. It is so exciting because, there's just, one of the ones I'm really excited about, of course, Sora.
Sora.
Thinking about how Sora is going to be able to allow certain people to kind of create their own material. And that's the thing that I've always been excited about with AI, is that it's kind of given more reins to me as a creative and allowed me to be able to just do like certain things and go down a certain direction without having to be so sometimes shackled with having to like partner up with somebody else and then have to kind of go through their process. And, the one of the new ones with Midjourney is the character consistency thing.
Yeah,
that is really like kind of creating a wave right now, which I'm about to start, exploring a little bit, and how that can benefit my clients. But that's a big one because that's one of the hardest things to do when you're working in Midjourney, is to get that like character consistency and then to be able to tweak certain things. So I'm super excited about that new feature.
Yeah, I think, Paul, you just hit on something that I've been thinking about too, is like previously, what we would call in the industry as a unicorn, somebody that could design, that can develop, that can write, and they're kind of self-sufficient. And you have those kind of unicorn people out there. They're far and few between. But I think AI is going to create a lot more unicorns where you're really skilled in one area. Now you have AI. Like, I'm not a writer, I'm a designer. I can edit. I know what I want out of writing. But now with the use of AI, like, it's going to create more unicorns where people are self-sufficient and able to holistically control the outcome of a project, or all the pieces of the project, play this conductor role where I have full control and I'm using assets, but I don't have to rely on somebody else. I don't have to wait on somebody else. You kind of brought everything into your own world, and you kind of can pick and choose and create the recipes and formulas and outcomes you want using AI. So I think it's really exciting because there's a lot of talented people out there, and to get really good at something, you usually got to stay in your lane and really drive hard. But with AI now, I think it's going to allow people to branch out pretty seamlessly and kind of control the entire outcome.
You said two things that one is stuck with me. I forgot who I was talking to, but that person had coined the phrase, "We're going to be more like creative conductors."
Yep.
Right. And that idea that, you're this kind of multifaceted creative. You're the unicorn. You like to, you have an eye for photography, and maybe you can do a little bit on the side, but you're like, no, man, like, I can't, I would never put that in front of a client. But Midjourney has allowed us to be able to harness that tool and to create imagery. And it might not necessarily go final to the very end, but it can help direct certain things. I got a current client that I just left. I did a photo shoot yesterday in Escondido, and I used Midjourney to create the mood boards for the photographer. And we had those images there at the shoot to go, okay, this is the one we're going to hit, and this is the one we're going to hit. And, it really allowed me to be able to kind of direct it and conduct it a lot quicker and be more efficient and affordable for the client.
Yeah, we've been doing the same thing on this side. It's one of the applications we've been using it is storyboarding for video. You can get really close. Instead of having to draw or find stock image to represent, you can start to create a really good and tight presentation for a direction of a project using AI, using Midjourney, where you're starting to set, the look and feel, the camera angles, the focal lengths, the mood, the lighting, and really get pretty damn close to what you want the final outcome to be, where everybody sees that. Now everybody has the vision and is running in the same direction. When production comes, it's so much more seamless.
So much more inaccessible. It just has made these different, categories of, like you said, writing and photography and video and things like that it's made it a lot more accessible, especially for somebody like me that I'm consulting. And so some of my clients don't have the big budgets. And, this technology has allowed these different areas to be more accessible for me to offer, these services at, a little more kind of reachable, area for my clients, like, being able to write a whole strategy and a whole mission statement and, write a whole, like business plan, and to be able to use ChatGPT or Google Gemini to help assist with that. And it's not necessarily final, but it's very directional, and it's very effective.
Yeah. It's mind blowing. I mean, just thinking about not that long ago, 6 months ago, like you said, DC, we were counting fingers, and it was like, man, this one hand has 12, and the input output that you were getting from ChatGPT and Gemini, it was good, but it wasn't necessarily like, hey, I can trust this 1,000%. I think we've moved so quickly. And Paul, it's a good point that you bring up, like the ability for AI to help make things more accessible to clients that are, working on a budget like everyone is one side of the string. But the other side of the string, I think we just saw one of the Super Bowl commercials was actually concepted in AI. And it was the one with the golfer that takes the shot and it kind of bounces off all the trees, and then they're constantly following the ball through. But I just saw a case study on that, and it's amazing. I mean, it's being used in all different facets of the creative industry, and it's cool, it's exciting. But I think DC and I were recently just joking, like, oh man, time to become a plumber, right? Like we got to start wrenching pipes and greasing the wheels a little bit. So yeah, it's cool. Well, guys, I'd love to get into a little bit of a show and tell. I know both of you have a few things that you've worked on recently using AI, and I'd love to just go through those. I don't know if DC, you want to share first, and then Paul, you can bring up some of the creative that you've put together.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, I can share. I'll just share a couple, like just exports from Midjourney, and kind of show a few of what Midjourney is capable of. And then I'll show you kind of a storyboard or a pitch deck we sent to a client where we also used AI and Midjourney to really push the concept and get sign off on the concept from client.
Cool.
Let me just go ahead and share. Let me know when you guys can see my screen.
I can see it.
Cool. So I do a ton of photography for the agency. It started as a passion and turned into where I got really deep into it. And so I think I look at Midjourney a little different than most people. I'm probably less exploratory in terms of concepts in this early stage. I'm more like, hey, can I simplify what I'm doing, or can I make it more efficient and get the quality of images and the style that I want, that I would have to use with the camera? So I've done a little bit of exploration. You can see here on the left-hand side, you can do some really wild stuff and put in some prompts. You can almost get some fine art style stuff. Mm-hmm. And as we get to, the center, this is really getting into focus of kind of setting tone and environment for a potential shoot, or, that kind of whole mood board or storyboard kind of aspect. And then this third column here, I was kind of just wanted to show some images of like how real and how good AI is getting. Before, it wasn't this quality a year ago. You're getting really good skin textures. You're getting catch lights and eyes. You're getting everything is just getting so much dialed in, where images coming out of Midjourney are super, super passable, and just the quality is just elevated so much that it's hard to tell if this was a real photo or AI. I know, Paul, in some of your talks, I know you've done that, real or AI, and that's a really fun segment that I saw in your talk. But yeah, it's getting to that point where it's almost indiscernible if it was AI or photo. And then what we have on the right-hand side is just some exploration, and I think this is another aspect that going into interior design, we have clients that go, this is for a mood board for a winery client, help us kind of determine the look and feel and style of our next project and stuff like that, where you can start to put in some pretty specific prompts. And then with seeding now in Midjourney, being able to like take something and continue building off that and dialing it in, the results you can get are just astounding. And these places look real to me. But as far as a directional mood board and setting tone and direction for a project, Midjourney is the tools become just a huge time saver, create so many more efficiencies, and just been super fun to work with. So kind of have that to show you kind of what Midjourney is capable of and kind of how I've been using Midjourney. And then if I switch over to an actual like client concept pitch, you can see how we started using Midjourney to actually start to get the look and feel and set the tone in terms of mood board for an actual shoot we were doing, where you can start to actually get look and feel, start to see how, just composition of shots, angles, focal lengths, lighting. There's a lot you can do within Midjourney within prompts. I mean, you can literally dictate what focal length. You can say the style of lighting. You can put in prompts of what camera we're shooting with, and you're starting to get some results that are just unbelievable and much faster in comparison to actually sketching out mood and storyboards, or having to go and resort to stock photography where it's almost there and we can talk through the concept and this is a halfway there visual reference. Now we could get like 90% there with visual references and get client alignment much quicker than we have in the past. So that's kind of how we've been using it here at Magnetic. Like I said, we're just at the infancy of this. We've been using it for about a year now, but how fast the industry is moving, the application for this tool is going to continue to just elevate, and we're going to find more and more uses for it. But Paul, I know you've done a ton, and we've talked about it. You've done a ton of exploratory, almost fine art, as well as just exploration, probably a lot more than I have in terms of pushing the limits of what AI can do. But yeah, super curious to see what you've been working on and how you've been using AI.
I wanted to touch on something though, that one advantage, especially you have, and other creatives that have a photography background, is that you guys have this formal like knowledge and training with like really the craft of photography and the craft of video production, that I've just like I continue to see the quality of like yourself and this other guy, a buddy of mine, Kenny, that has this photography background. Like you guys really bring in this technical like skill into Midjourney, and then the results are just mind blowing. Like how much more control you guys have than like, let's say, the people that are just kind of exploring with no like formal like photography background.
Yeah, I think it is a huge benefit because, like I said, I mean, you can talk about focal length, camera, you can talk about your depth of field and f-stop, you can talk about so much, just lighting terms, all of that stuff that you can actually put in as prompts in Midjourney that help dial in and craft your image. So I think it's been a huge, benefit to have a solid foundation in the creative medium of creating images. To be able to go in and apply that in a different format using AI.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys definitely have that advantage in that knowledge, which I have definitely seen the results from you guys. Is again super inspirational. There's this other guy, Sebastian, I did an interview with, and he's an interior designer. And he's got that photography background, and he has truly meshed both of those skills together to do the most realistic, like interior design directions for his clients. And he's continued to build a whole business around it.
Yeah, I saw some of that. There's another guy, Mike Campau, who's an artist I fought a long time, 3D artist. He's phenomenal retoucher and compositor, but that skill set, like, I got into photography because I actually loved Photoshop and the retouching aspect of it, then started taking my own images. But the retoucher in me is just seeing so much potential of being able to take elements from AI and start to composite and build in, like, especially with like, we work on product stuff, to take a product package rendering and then build an environment around it and get the lighting right and all of that. The retouchers, I'm assuming out there, are having a heyday with Midjourney right now. Instead of having to go shoot every little aspect of a composite or find stock photography, it's right now at your fingertips and generated in seconds now that you can pull in these pieces and start to craft these amazing composites. And you start to see where there's no line anymore. You can't see the line between where the real and the fake started. It's just all seamless now. And the people are out there getting some phenomenal results. It's super inspirational and exciting.
Yeah, and
it's interesting to me.
Oh, go ahead, Matt. Sorry, bud.
It's interesting to me too, because a lot of people think that AI takes the creativity out of what we do, but quite the opposite. As I listen to you guys talk through this, is that it actually puts more of the creativity back into it. When you're talking about mood boards or tone setting, any of those activities, a lot of times you're bound to the images and the videos and the things that you can find, whether that's through stock or, without going and producing an actual photo shoot. A lot of times you're bound to like a kind of a limited amount of assets, where with AI now, you guys have the idea, you can actually go and produce this based off of like true raw creative, which is so cool to see.
I'm glad you brought that up, Matt, because that's the thing that I try to encourage people to sort of embrace, is that it can free up so much time too, to be more creative, and then be able to kind of spend a little extra time crafting what you did, because you have this extra time. You're not spending hours and hours, let's say, clipping images out or, trying to like do this or that. these very tedious production tasks that we've dealt with for so long in our industry. And now this is really like kind of taking that away, and now it's doing it for us, and it's just freed up so much time. Yeah. So I just look at it as such a benefit. I really do.
Absolutely. So run us through a few of the things that you've got here, Paul.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. So this in particular is a current client of mine. His name is Scott Havelstad, and he is a consultant. He's got a small consulting business for the life science industry. And what he does is he helps life science startups go from sort of the startup area to actual like in-market production. So he came to me. He was like, "Look, I really need to get serious about my brand, and love, he and I have been friends for several years." He was like, "I'd love to work with you and really like take my brand to the next level."
Yeah.
Because he's a smaller company and everything, he had, like any client, they have certain budgets that they have to be sensitive to. And so with his budget, I had to really think about like, all right, to work within this budget and to be able to fulfill the whole scope of what I know he needs, AI is going to be really beneficial to me here. I'm going to be able to, use this technology to help me, not only go through the strategy and the UX phase and the copywriting phase, but also help me with the mood boards when I have to actually do real photo shoots and get to some of the digital production. So for this one right here, I'm just going to start off like, this is kind of what he is. He's an independent regulatory compliance and quality assurance consulting company in the life science industry, right? I was like, what is all of that? So, it's always exciting to learn something about your clients and to learn what they do. And it truly helps sort of educate yourself as a person. So I've learned about life science industries, things that I never knew in the past. So I do have a typical process, and that process is just to get to know my clients and kind of dive in, do my own research, and to go through a basic like brand questioning and conversation. So we went through that. And then I was like, all right, now I have to truly write things. I have to like come up with the strategy and the mission statement and the brand attributes. So I thought, why not lean into Google Gemini to help that process out a little bit? And so this next screen here shows literally some of the screenshots that I did using Google Gemini to help me with that brand strategy and to help write some of the brand attributes, because I'm not a writer. And unfortunately, his budget just didn't allow us to bring in that strategist and that copywriter to be able to flesh out all of this. So I used Gemini to help lay a foundation and to create a direction. And then what I was able to do is between myself and my wife, which she's a writer, we were able to take bits and pieces of things that we liked and then finesse it and mold it and then be able to present it to Scott. And he was very impressed by the accuracy of the writing around the brand strategy and a lot of these attributes that we ended up coming up with. Yeah, the other area that I used was Midjourney. DC, you talked about just how effective it was to be able to use it for mood boards. This is an actual mood board that I created for the photo shoot that we wanted to do. And I wanted it to be like, this very like, kind of black and white, almost editorial, but approachable, natural sort of settings that felt approachable. And these were the images that I created in Midjourney, and they were phenomenal. Like, you look at this one right here, kind of front and center, and I wanted to capture like him just relaxed and almost in thought. And the result was, and then you guys can even see, I'm not sure if the audience is going to be able to see, it even added like a little bit of film grain and dust overlay that I thought was, I didn't even put that in there. and it did it just to kind of give it a little bit of that editorial look.
And so is that actually him?
No, it's not. It's not him, but I had put in the prompts like, a guy in his mid 40s, with, some facial hair, wearing glasses, sitting in like a cafe or a restaurant with a lot of like big windows and natural lighting, sort of like working. And, that one and the one to the right of it where he's writing stuff down were some of the results that I got from that prompt. And then I added some prompts, to say, okay, two gentlemen again in their 40s in an office sort of meeting and talking, black and white. So I was very pleased with the results, and I was able to take these to the photographer to do a real photo shoot with, just like DC you had talked about.
Yep.
The next mood boards we're actually using, like these were more conceptual imagery that I created that he really liked, and these aren't real people, but they ended up being like more of these like brand, just kind of mood images, I guess is sort of the best way to kind of describe it. And he really liked it. I really liked it too. I love sort of the experimental and a little more of like the artistic direction that we got out of these with people that are, being filtered through like glass and light and, water and things like that. So we ended up using a few of these. And then we also I ended up experimenting with abstract life science images. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to kind of go down a route of like under the microscope type of images. Yeah. And we both really liked the results. And the one that's right here, sort of front and center, we ended up using. Here's some screens of the actual brand guide that ended up being final. And a lot of, the text around this and the strategy and the statements, mission and goals were all sort of started from Google Gemini, but then refined by a human. A couple of other shots from more of the brand guide here. And then you can see here some of the imagery that I had created that was more of like abstract branding. And then this like under the microscope sort of life science images. He loved so much, he wanted it on the business card. And it lived even in print.
Yeah. Paul, what would you say the overall time saving would be? I mean, obviously, we've been doing this for a while, but what would you say in terms of just efficiencies gained from using AI? What would you give that? Like a 1 at 10, 60% efficiency, 50%, 40%,
80%,
80%.
Yeah. All right.
Because you guys know as well, like going back to sort of this phase, the brand strategy phase. This phase can take months, literally absolutely. Like 6 months, depending on how big the client is. It's a really important stage in the process of creating a brand, and it takes time and it takes experience. But this particular client didn't have that kind of budget and that kind of time. So the efficiencies, like 80%.
One of the things I wanted to say was, when you start designing and you're concepting and you kind of put so much time into a direction, you kind of get stuck in that direction because you feel committed almost to that direction and you keep going. I think what AI and how quick you can generate ideas allows you to not get so invested into a singular path or a singular idea. Allows you to go, okay, I've got this. Let me go and see what else I can explore really quick before I go all in on this one idea. So I think just that speed of being able to explore is actually opens you up creatively and takes off those handcuffs of like, you go start going down that road and you're like, man, I'm pot committed in this. I'm liking what I'm doing, but I haven't gone down any other exploration. Mm-hmm. I'm going down this road. This is what I'm going to present to client. Where with AI now, you can actually really quickly, more efficiently explore different avenues of where something can go, and then say, okay, this is the one, or even put that in client first and then go, are you liking this? Then really go into that deep dive of the brand. So I think it's kind of getting you out of that tunneled creative vision into a wider view of what else could be possible.
Yeah, man. DC, you couldn't have said it better. And that was something, that was a screen in my presentation with San Diego City College that I thought was really important for them to understand, is that the benefits of it, like you said, allow you to explore more and to explore more efficiently, and then be able to bounce it off your client, and then be able to come back and revise a lot more effectively and efficiently. So yeah, you couldn't have said it better, man. That's absolutely one of the greatest benefits. But another thing that it could do, I know I get sometimes in mid-journey, sometimes you get down a rabbit hole that's hard to like pull out of.
Yeah.
And we all laugh because we all have been there. Like you get like on this rabbit hole, like, oh man, like I got this result, and then I got this result. Oh my God, that result was so fascinating. It was so cool. And you keep going down like, whoa, I got to slow down. And I got to kind of pull back a little bit. So you do have to be careful. When I mention that to the students, is that you got to be careful about the rabbit hole. You can get sucked down.
Yeah.
Pretty soon 3 days has gone by and you still haven't taken a shower.
I know, right?
Oh man. So you guys want to open up some tools here and do maybe like a little lightning challenge? What do you say? Is like 5 minutes, 10 minutes long enough to do some stuff?
Don't even know.
Let's do it. Let's give it a try.
So, I know we talked about this, Matt. You're going to give us a concept, and we're both going to take our own run at it and see what's happened. Do we want to share during the prompt or do it and then share a screen?
Are you guys down to share screen while we're going through it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I think it'd be cool.
Let me see.
Yeah, I'm going to try to do a little.
All right, I got Midjourney open.
Me too. Here we go. Let me. Okay, share screen. Oh, it's saying I can't share while you're sharing.
Oh, okay. We're doing one at a time then. That's cool.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, and DC, we could just do yours too, or Paul, if you want to do one in the background, and then we can share when we get done.
Yeah, I'll just do mine in the background, and we'll just kick it around a little bit afterwards.
Okay, cool. So here's the prompt, and I'm gonna go off of the backgrounds that you guys have working right now. Let's do David Bowie at the top of like Yosemite. Sorry, what's the big rock?
Half Dome.
What is it?
Half Dome.
Thank you. Yeah, David Bowie at the top of Half Dome.
All right.
All right, so let's see. Fine.
DC's got some camera prompts coming in here, some lenses.
Yeah, I know. See, that's where he's always gonna just produce amazing results.
Have you guys been to the top of Half Dome?
I have not.
I have. No, I have not been to the top of Half Dome. I've been to the top of not El Cap. It was where did I go in Yosemite? It was one of the vernal falls, or one of the falls where you're up that really narrow staircase. That's insane. Okay, I'm gonna keep it pretty simple. 4, 5.
And that's an aspect ratio you're typing in there, DC?
Yeah. And what I like to do when I do my prompts is copy it, and then I'll do it like a few times so I get a bunch of results all at once.
Oh, cool.
So usually it'll give you 4 initial results, and you can go from there. But oops, I've reached the maximum number of current jobs.
Let's see.
It'll go, and then so I'll get 4, 8, 12, 16, and you can start to refine and do variations from there.
Let's see.
Those are trippy.
All right, let's see what I got here. All right, waiting to start.
There we go. So I see how I did a bunch match, so I get multiple variations at once instead of just working at the initial 4, and then I'll kind of go in.
Yeah, that's cool.
See what I'm liking. I think I'm liking.
Oh yeah, that looks more like him.
Like that, and then let me see what else we got over here. Some wild ones. So I really like this one, so I'll do variations of this 4. This one's pretty cool too.
It's always interesting to me to look at the background too, to see what sort of detail is in there.
Yeah.
Not quite getting David Bowie. He's having a hard time, getting him accurate. Oh yeah, look at that. That's really good.
Jeez.
Yeah, look at that.
The fresh blowout.
Yeah, I know, right?
Pretty damn close.
He definitely got a good stylist up there on top of Yosemite.
Oh, yeah, look at this one.
That is.
And you do, I noticed like how you're doing, style raw and things like that. Like I don't even like experiment with that stuff.
Yeah, and then there's seeding. So like seeding, if I want to start with this image and say seed this image and then start, change out the background to be a Switzerland or whatever, you can start seeding some of this stuff, or start changing aspects of it of, hey, same image, no sunglasses, or you can start to really dial stuff in and go down a rabbit hole with like crafting the exact image you're looking for. But I think that's pretty good looking David Bowie, pretty stoic at the top of some mountain scene with some glowing light.
Yeah.
Well, now we're back.
That's so accurate. Yeah.
Yeah.
How is the lens and like the focal point, or not the focal point, but just the lens usage? Is that pretty close to a 50 millimeter?
Yeah, it's what your eye would see. I do 50 millimeter. If I want a much wider angle, so let me take this same prompt, and I can change. You'll see /
There you go. Now I'm getting some better results.
If I want to go like a 24 millimeter portrait, and then I want to do a 16:9 aspect ratio. Let's see what happens. You'll just see it'll be a wider portrait, and I change the aspect ratio. So instead of this 4:5, I'll get a wide 16:9 aspect ratio. Paul, I saw a unique number in your presentation, like a 203 to 91 or something.
Yeah, I know, right? That was just me like expanding and getting like it ended up, just altering like the aspect ratio. I have a tendency to like do 16:9 or 9:16. I just usually start right off with that most of the time.
Yep. So if I go save image as save. I'm gonna try something for you, Matt. I'm gonna go. Oops. Drop that in here. I'm gonna return that. And then
is this seeding that you're doing here? Tell us what you're getting into here, DC.
I'm gonna do this here, and then I'm going to copy in this prompt, and it should give me something more similar to what I've already created. Oh, shoot. Hold on.
DC, while you do that, is it cool if you stop doing a screen share and we can check out what Paul's got going? Paul, are you at a good spot here?
Let me.
I could show. Yeah, definitely some of the ones I ended up getting.
All right.
Heck yeah.
Sure. So let's see. Let's see. Here we go. All right. Nope, didn't do it, huh?
Not letting you share?
Hold on. Let me just try the entire screen. There you go.
There we go.
A little bit easier. So yeah, this one. Yeah, this one's kind of fun. So there you go. I have a few standard prompts that I kind of use, and that's whenever I'm trying to get as real as possible. I use a lot of like these hyper realistic, detailed, hyper realistic. Just this one right here. Yeah, hyper detailed, hyper realistic, and then I'll kind of bump it up to like what style of photography I want to use. So it's like, in this one I just sort of mixed it with fashion and also editorial, but I did award-winning editorial photography, hyper realistic fashion photography, detailed fashion. And then one thing that I started studying, and I was talking to a couple of other people that are in our LinkedIn group, is imperfections. We have a tendency, like Midjourney always has a tendency to do things very symmetrical and then really tries to polish it up. And so to be able to get things to feel a little more realistic, I'll add like some imperfection prompts. And, it makes it, to me, feel a little more human to be able to get that kind of stuff in there.
Totally.
So I think this one looks more like David Bowie than any of the other ones I got. But, I added, you can see back here, I added like David Bowie standing on a half dome, standing in snow with climbing gear, light snow falling and wind blowing, and got, some of the wide angle, slight imperfections, light film grain, and wide depth of field with the aspect ratio of 16:9. So, I mean, that one's pretty fun looking.
That's dope, yeah.
And Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, but if we were really trying to dial this in, you'd spend the next 15, 20 minutes really dialing in and riffing on this image till you got what you want, which is really a small amount of time to get an image of this kind of quality.
Right.
This is, quick, did in 5 minutes, but you can really start dialing this in and testing new prompts and doing variations of this image, and it's wild how quick you can start to dial it in and how fast you can export and something that's usable.
Right, because the benefit is to be able to get a kind of a cinematic look and feel like this one comes across, and create mood boards around this. And yes, it's okay if it doesn't look exactly like David Bowie, but we know it's an interpretation of him. And if we were to like be planning a video shoot or a photo shoot that this is, a direction, it's so efficient, man. And it's like we talked about, it allows us to be a bit more creative. We can start messing around with the color palette too. Yeah. Like if we didn't want the color palette to look so moody, we can start adjusting the color palette to, and then the lighting. And because this lighting is very subdued because of the storm and everything. But if we wanted to start going, okay, we want sunbeams kind of breaking through the clouds, we could start introducing that kind of stuff to create something that's a bit more, just brighter and not so kind of, moody and stuff. So yeah, like I just love it, man. I really do. I get so excited about this kind of stuff. And I think like it truly, truly opens up so many creative doors for us as like you said, kind of unicorn creatives.
The one thing we haven't touched on, and I just kind of want to get your thoughts on this, and I know we've talked about it before, but with the results getting so good, just the transparency with clients of, hey, we're actually using AI imagery in your actual work. The more I think about it, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a legal person, but it's pretty much like stock photography, right? At this point, you don't own the image. Somebody else can go and look up your Midjourney and take this image and use it as they want as well. It's going to not be in the same context or whatever, but essentially it's like stock photography. You don't own this image, but we can definitely use it on the brand.
Absolutely. And that's our first, excuse me, our first real application that the client like paid us to do was Mall of America. And we helped them, they came to us and they asked us to help kind of rethink like their fall fashion show at the mall. They do this big fall fashion show. And they had seen some of the work that we had been doing at Folklore with AI. And they're like, hey, can you guys kind of come up with a new like fall fashion like direction and be able to use AI in it? And so, yeah, we did. And that was one of the hot topics, right? They're like, okay, like we own this, right? The client said. And we're like, no, you don't.
Not so fast.
Like, right. It's just like you said, DC, it's very similar to going, we're kind of creating sort of stock imagery in the back that Midjourney owns. Midjourney still owns this imagery. We can use it, but we don't own the exclusive rights around it. So I think as long as you communicate that up front, you're super transparent with your clients. I haven't found any clients that had issues with this so far.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
Well, boys, it's been an absolute pleasure to chat with you guys today. That was really cool. Stoked to be able to watch you guys work in real time and do a little prompt there. I would be stoked if you guys could save a couple of those that you're happy with and send them over to me, and then I can link to them in the show notes and people can check out some of the detail. If you guys are able to save the even like a screenshot of the prompts that you went through, that'd be cool, just so that people can see some of the different details that you leave in there. That would be really cool. But Paul, DC, super appreciate your time.
Thank you, Matt.
Love hanging out with you guys. Love talking about new stuff. Again, with AI, I think there's a little bit of a split crowd right now. Half of the people are really scared. Half of the people are really excited. Love to see that both of you are both on the excited side of the channel there of the aisle. And I'm excited to see what happens next. I mean, the amount of progress that's been made in the last 6 months, 8 months, 9 months. It's just wild to see. And I'm really curious to see what the next 2 to 3 years look like with these tools at our disposal.
Yeah, we'll have to do a follow-up on this one, Paul, and see what
I would love to, man.
I mean,
yeah,
especially with Story coming out here soon. So see how you guys implement that.
Yeah.
Wow, for sure. Thank you.
Before we sign off, 2 quick things. Paul, what's one thing that you're super stoked on right now? It can be in life, in general. DC, same question. One thing that you're just super stoked on. New pair of shoes, some life event that's going on, anything just to keep your stoke levels high.
Well, I'm very, very stoked about my wife and I are going to Costa Rica for 2 weeks to look at some new homes. I couldn't be more stoked about going to Costa Rica. So it's a beautiful place if you haven't been. Super
Love
stoked.
it.
Mine's travel related too. My wife's 40th birthday. We're going to Nashville in a couple weeks. She's been wanting to go to Nashville for quite a few years. So 40th birthday is the time to go. So we're going to head over to Nashville in a couple weeks. Looking forward to that trip.
You guys have a show lined up for that?
No
shows, just live music all over the place.
Just that Broadway where, bar hopping and sing people. And I've been there a couple times. My wife hasn't, but it's kind of one of those places where you watch people perform and you got to ask everybody, wait, is this person famous already? Because they're that good. So ton of talent around there and just a good time, good vibe. But excited to get down there again.
Super cool.
Right.
Like I said, I appreciate both of you. You guys take it easy and we will chat soon.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Cheers.
We'll see you.